What's the deal? What's the deal? We back again, man, here at Riverside Studios, man. PolitiKan the podcast. We got a special guest today, man. A fashion mogul, man. He's just a entrepreneur, a mover and shaker, man. A man that's out here, living within his purpose, and moving. So, with no further introduction needed, man, IJAHBOR. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing just fine.
So, did I pronounce the name
Where's
right?
IJAHBOR? Got to say the bor.
The bore. So not bar, bore.
IJAH. You know how to say the Jah
Hmm.
from the Jamaicans. Jah. IJAHBOR.
So speaking of Jamaican, are you Jamaican? What is your
No,
nationality?
I'm just like all the rest of you. I'm a historian, so I know the truth. I'm a Hebrew Israelite.
I love that. I love that. I preach that a lot to people, and they think that Israelites are like Muslims, and you get stuck trying to educate people. So I just more try to point them to the information instead of trying to preach to them. Just
Mm-hmm.
a lot in this information age, you got to do your own research, man.
Well,
Don't
that's the
just
only way
believe
you're
the
gonna get
next person.
interested in it. You can't you can't become a Hebrew Israelite by accepting a title. You have to become that by accepting the spirit of your ancestors, because according to the Torah, Yah put uh, there's a DNA in the scriptures. The scriptures is not loose where
Hmm.
anybody can attach to it and read it and receive it. No, it has a DNA in it. Okay, and it's a bloodline, and that DNA come out of that blood, out of
Hmm.
that blood. That's why our blood is being shedded here, and it's been
Hmm.
shedded throughout history. So it's a sacrifice. The sacrifice have to be made right. None of our people, other than the ones like myself and others who already know who they are and have already don't come to that finalization, but we ain't worrying about number because according to the way that Yah speaks to us, He's going to finalize it where you're going to understand it one way or the other, because He's going to close the doors to your rulers.
Yeah.
And when He closes the doors to your rulers, you ain't gonna have them present to present for the fault of an excuse.
Hmm.
You're gonna have to at that time and point and say, well, okay, yeah, I've heard and I studied, show myself approved. If you ain't did anything in that area of because that's what Yah asked us. He said, study, show yourself approved, work me not be ashamed, right? He
Hmm.
let us know that he started this creation at the same time. He wants you to be on point with it. He don't want you to not know it. He tells you he wants you to know it.
Yeah.
He tells you to put your face in it, because this is the power that you'll have in the time of darkness. Because darkness rules underneath light,
Hmm.
and as long as the light don't decide to give itself the greatest shine it can get, then the darkness are always seen to be present. But as soon as the light turns on, you know that, man. When
Hmm.
like the light is on now, and the darkness is gone for the next 12 hours.
Yeah.
When that 12 hours up, darkness will begin to slowly appear. You understand?
So when I remember coming up in Christian Baptist churches,
Mhm.
and we were always taught about Moses and Abraham and the promised land and King David and King Solomon. We were told these stories, but with kind of vague context. So as an adult, when I revisited these stories, it really just shed a light on our own personal plight as far as how we need to understand our own history and where we come from and understand that these stories are about us.
Yeah, these stories is about us, and these stories is real, and these stories need to be told the way that they. Well, I'm going to tell it to you right now, but these stories should have long time ago should have really been told to us. Direct. I don't care. You shouldn't let no fear. The Most High said He did not give us the spirit of fear. So you have to ask the question: how did it come about? It came through an extraction. You know, when our people began to appear in running from the Roman government during 70 AD, and they ran from that government, and over a million and a half of our people scattered themselves out throughout the African, different parts of the southern and northern and eastern parts of
Mm.
Africa and so on.
So speaking of that, how do you feel about a lot of the youth wearing unks, and kind of practicing Kemetism now, and going back to that, saying that that's our
Well,
African roots
again,
and that's
King.
that's our religion. So we see a lot of the youth going into Kemetism and wearing
That's
unks
true.
and this symbolism that they really don't
Well, what I
understand.
see notice a series of things. I say that at least one thing for certain, they're trying to make a visit towards where they from. They're still not conclusive. Um, uh, our people since 1920s so on has been practicing then a variation of different type of religions trying to get to a certain height, spiritual. That what they're all looking for in the burial of each of these discoveries is the act of freedom. Is what they're all trying to get to at the very end of whatever it is that you tied yourself to. It's freedom they're trying to get to. It's not the title that they're involved in that they're practicing for certain knowledge and understandings. They're trying to get to a point of freedom. Okay, that's been the cry for 400 years: freedom, 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 freedom. When can I get out of here? When can I get out of this believed conscious that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation? It seems like it's no end. That's that's why these variations every time a new generation come on the earth in the 21 years span, and this generation is now old enough to ask questions as a grown person. They're in the exact same shape and form as these generations 4 or 5, generations before them, because of the excuse of acceptance. This is what slows the process up. When you say, okay, I want to find out where I'm from, but I'm comfortable where I'm at. Well, you just created two fences, you see? So it's going to be difficult for you to go freely. The scripture says, come up out of the world. That means that there should be nothing in the world that should draw your interest. Why? Because the kingdom of the Most High is inside of you, revealing to you all day, every day, is existence. The very measures of it, the very principles of it, the very rulership, the condemnations of his powers. So if you dare, you exercise in that, you do just like the Most High, you become part of the Godhead. And what I mean by that, that's just reaching to the level of angelic beings. To have a Godhead, you're not reaching, because it's 9 orders, we're the 10. So if you're going to get a Godhead, you're not getting the head of a cherubim or a sapphire, any of them. You're getting a Godhead, it's an angelic being, a ninth level creature. They call angels.
Yeah.
And some people, when they say, I want to be God, that's all they saying. They don't realize they're not saying I want to be like a cherubim or a sapphire or the rest of these other orders, all right? Or of a dominion, or it's a number of different those orders. They're not, you don't hear humans trying to reach that level. They always say Godhead or God, but that's just the second heaven, and then it's war in that heaven right now,
Yeah.
right now,
On heaven and
and
earth.
yeah, but it leveled from the third heaven down to the second heaven, and then it was in district brought down here when they began to start entering into the daughters of men and participate themselves into the affairs of human beings. And so the only thing I can say that you have to be careful of is that the skepticism of that information is still alive. It's still like a shadow that covers over you, because what it does, it gets you caught up into that history, that information. You see people making documentaries on it and things of that nature, and they keep expelling that information to you instead of them saying one thing for certain. Say, look, Yah is not in neither one of those arenas. The third, the second, the first. He's not in neither one of them. His him as the creator of all of that represents the totality of their existence quite naturally.
Yeah.
But is his presence there? No, that is not the paradise of the Most High, those 3 heavens.
So, what was your upbringing? And where did you grow up in?
But when I was born, one thing I can say 2 things. And it'd be very unique me saying this today. I was first born human by my parents. I was born in the Nation of Islam under the teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1958. And I went to the temple in 62. I studied at the temple as a child there, and I was introduced to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and some of his constituents. My parents was in that association with him. My grandmother's the one who made those famous crowns he wore My
Mm-hmm.
grandmother's the one who made those, and they kept me in that knowledge for quite some time as I got older and older. And my father was a great researcher of knowledge, and he was a person who really wanted to have understanding, like Malcolm and all the rest of them during that time period, about the conclusion of things. Now, the only thing I can say that they didn't know at that time was that Yah had not opened up a window to pour out the Spirit to bring the revealing, the truth that regarded his people. He got Yah has closed the eyes at a certain time period. Many during the 1600s is when he closed the eyes, so that we wouldn't fully bear witness to all of the suffering and devastation that would take place over this 400 years that's been promised for us to go through. And you ain't going to escape 1 second of that. You're going you enter into that 400 years, which is in the 1619, and it concluded itself in 2019. And it's something that is it has to have, at least now that we're in 2021, it has to have an exact reality of why those 400 years passed. It cannot have no confused men about Christianity, Islam, and all that. That's got to be dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
And this, that's what I'm going to say. This, then I'm going to tell you. That's why the scripture says, "Study to show yourself approved to Yah,
Mm-hmm.
not to nobody else. You are to do just like you seen Yeshua do. He took the following 30 years and he concluded, which is the three Godheads. He did the 30 years of study and then came before the Jordan River to be baptized, to receive the remission to speak. He had already had the knowledge and the talents. He had the
Mm-hmm.
skill. He had nine skills. He came before John ready, and if you listen and if you watch this carefully, you see exactly how he was able to overcome. You see exactly why people are so bewildered about this individual, calling him Jesus and all the rest of the things they call him.
Jesus and
So reason for that. But
mm-hmm.
understand this, because like I said to you, number one, for Christianity and all that, they just want to go to the Godhead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if you listen to that carefully, or you know the realm that represents Yah, you'll know where these people are trying to go and where they're not trying to go. These people are not trying to get to the Most High. Period. They tell you every day, but because our people are ignorant of what they're saying, they're not realizing these people are not trying to get to the devil. That's where they're trying to get to. That's where the devil's at. They're trying to get there. They're trying to get to heaven, the first that went above us. That's where they want to go, but it's confusion up there. Okay, they know it, but they want to go there because they know that in a minute you and I are going to fully be open. Our eyes going to be open. When that happens, they won't stand a chance of existing at
Mm-hmm.
that time. It won't be no more room for that existence once we come into that. And we just about at the pinnacle of that now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But this is the true story. In Deuteronomy 28th chapter, there's a story in there that talks about Moses when he gathered all the children of Israel, all the 12 tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought them before him, before this camp, before the great mountain of the Most High. And Most High had previously earlier that day had counseled Moses to do all of this because he wanted to speak to all the children of Israel and remind them how he felt about them.
Mm-hmm.
So as we know in that scripture, it goes on to say that all the 12 tribes came before the great mountain of the Most High, and the Most High spoke out of a cloud and began to start telling the children of Israel that, how beloved they was to him. You know what I'm saying? How he chose them and not nobody else. Okay. How he had in his heart, he had decided to give them the whole world, as he had promised in Genesis 10 to Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when he put him in a deep sleep. Okay, so he wanted them to know I'm going to make you above all nations, and other nations will be subdued by you, which we had done already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, through wars. So he was allowing us to know that at this time and this point, if you keep all these commandments and all these laws that I've given Moses and Aaron, and I have passed these through you and through the high priestess, I've taught this to you. Okay, and I taught this to you so that you will realize that what I'm doing is establishing you with a greater and a higher knowledge than the heathens or the
Yeah.
Gentiles, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever how they want to be, the people
Yeah.
who were not called by him. And he said he's going to establish this everlasting understanding in our spirit and heart that they do not have. But we are, you know, we have been chosen by him to receive this. Now, it's nothing that Israel can say when you examine the entire preview of when the promises first began to start appear to Abraham.
Yeah.
There was nothing that we as a people did that made the Most High want to do. This was just something that was the Most High. Really, what the Most High wanted to do was show how He made heaven and earth. You know what I'm trying to say? And there's 12 parts. So that's why there's 12 sons. That's why
Yeah.
there's 12 months and all the rest of
So
it. Right.
they say that
Mm-hmm.
one son was banished and it was 11 tribes. So
No, ain't no such thing as
what is
that.
all of
That cannot happen.
that?
No. That cannot happen. So
So
that
you
means
know,
that be the case. Then we got to take 1 month off. We got to take month off for this year. Then
yeah.
how would that fit in? We will never have a year. Then you would never conclude a year. Why would you take something away that would disinfatuation?
Yeah. So you know how especially with mainstream media,
Mm-hmm.
they're run by the Jewish,
Mm-hmm.
and with programs like Nick Cannon,
Mm-hmm.
he had Professor Griff on his Cannon's
Mm-hmm.
class,
Mm-hmm.
and Professor Griff was talking a lot of the knowledge that you're
Yeah,
speaking right
exactly.
now, and that he had a few comments where he said that blacks are the original Jews, and he ended up
Mm-hmm.
losing his
I
show and
understand
kind
that.
of being blackballed from the game from this. Then you got movies like
Mm-hmm.
Gods of Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where these gods of Egypt and everybody
Mm-hmm.
in the movie are white, and how Hollywood whitewashes everything. So everything that you're speaking to, history and mainstream media tells us otherwise.
Okay, and again too. Now I'm gonna put this to you to a test. This is this is simplicity here. Again, I'm speaking about Deuteronomy 28 chapter, right? Show you how important the chapter is. Now, there's a section that started at 17th verse that begins to arrive itself towards curses.
Hmm.
These curses shall come upon you. Okay. Now, if you just write down all those curses, just take your little tablet, write them all down, every last one, and then film your eyes to the world. Look and see who has fulfilled those curses. That's all you have to do. Many people have done it. So they was able to know who they were. Just
Hmm.
take those curses and see who they fit. Wherever they fit, you know how they say the shoe fit?
Hmm.
Okay, or the glove
Like
fit?
Cinderella,
Yeah,
they
or the
went
glove,
around
or whatever.
trying to shoe on
But I'm just
everybody,
saying,
trying
once
to
it fit,
find
it's
who
you.
Cinderella was.
Whoever it fits is
Hmm.
whoever the picture fits is who the people are.
Hmm.
Because remember what it says. It says this is a sign from Yah. The curse is a sign between Israel and himself. It
Hmm.
is not a dead sign. It's a livable sign. You find it through your historical research. You'll find it very, very easy. When it starts telling you at the 68th verse, it says, you shall return to Egypt again
Hmm.
by ship, by the way from which I told you, but you should never see it again. You will be sold as a bondman and a bondwoman, but no one will buy you. That means that if you go back to the book of Leviticus, you see there was a law imprinted in there by the high priestess.
Hmm.
That was amended by Yah to the high priestess that delivered to the children of Israel. What it said at that time, it says that at the time when Israel was splitting up property and it was dividing land up, okay, there had to be a city, a central city within the four borders of each of the communities of the Israelites.
Hmm.
All a city to escape, a city of refuge. That's why it's all throughout the Bible, refuge, refuge. That word came about because in case an Israelite, for instance, got caught by a native, people outside of his own people, and they wanted a ransom. All right, give me this, that for him. All right. Well, at the time they could go on ransom, buy him out. But in this particular event that we enter into when we enter into them ships, he said this event nobody be able to buy you. Why? Because you was taken from you wasn't really taken when they captured you wasn't taken from your homeland. And I want this knowledge to be introduced to all black people right now. I really do because I know how ignorant some of our people are. And
Yeah.
I'm not against that because
Uh,
ignorance you can turn that into a more successful life.
for me is hard because coming from an older gentleman, it's more well received.
Mm-hmm.
But coming from a peer, it's just like, oh, you're preachy, oh, you're weird,
Mm-hmm.
or you on that other
I
shit.
understand.
You know what I'm saying? So uh, it's not that I don't preach this word,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times I preach it to deaf ears.
It's okay. Um, you'll find the importance, just like Yah, he don't just come down to anybody who said they want to believe in him. You may not never hear from him your whole existence. Okay, you can believe in him. Don't mean he gonna speak to you. Okay,
Mm,
um, that's because don't everybody listens to Yah. Don't everybody see Yah for the way he's trying to explain himself.
mm,
They don't they really didn't come to him wholeheartedly, like he said, all your heart, mind, and soul got to come. Can't bring some of you, a part of you, you leave the other part, wherever you parked it at. Y'all see all of that. Y'all wants every drop of you when you come to him.
mm,
That's how he starts your program, and that's how you'll know a person got y'all in them fulfillingly, because that person will be just like y'all said. He'll have all of the knowledge of y'all in him. He will, because he studied Yah with all his heart. He didn't want to know nothing else. And he grew and grew. Because one thing that the Most High taught us, he said that this knowledge is beyond silver, beyond gold. He said there's nothing in earth that can prepare it, that can you can prepare it. I mean, bring it into competition with other seed, whether it matches, that's nothing.
mm,
Period. It breaks the bound of all things, because there's nothing on earth. Because all things, first of all, came from up above downwardly. Okay, so there's nothing genuinely here. Everything, that's why the Bible says shadow. Everything that's a shadow it just what it somewhat appears to be like, but not the actuality of it. Okay, that's why even when you read in the 21st chapter of the book of Revelation, you notice that they talk about the fruit trees that grow there. They have a different appearance and a different time expectancy than the ones we have right now.
yeah.
Okay, so you already know that what we are seeing is a shadow. It's not the evidence of all things. It's a test. It's a trial to see whether you really. It's like somebody, saying, hey man, you want to get into this rap game, in order for you to be like a JC or nah, you got to go through these loops. You know what I'm trying to say? If you don't reach that last loop, you back to where you started at. All right. So there's an instruction book that tells you how to get to each loop. How many decimals it takes to get to this distance to,
Mm,
and what you have to do once you get there, what performance have to be in preparation, and so on and so on. And you have to be on point. How you think Yeshua was able to reach to the point that he got? And he's the only person in the earth who ever spoke of Yah and had 9 extraordinary gifts doing it. Other people have a gift, 2 gifts. This man had 9. He overshadowed everybody. He made sure when he got ready for the race, well, nobody gonna compete with him. Period.
mm,
To this day.
yeah.
So that just shows you the difference between somebody who makes the preparation for overcoming, different than somebody who heard of something overcoming but never knew the general role or the instruction that led to it. All right, or never put your whole heart to it because you didn't really realize what it is to be a light. To be a
Yeah.
light is to have influence over the world. That's what to be a light. The light is that you have reached the pinnacle of understanding that most humans haven't even gotten around to, even those people who you call your peers and your masters. Okay. This light, first of all, number one, it arranges you to realize you cannot live on this earth without understanding how heaven and earth and the sea and all that is made in it has a similar continuity to your own design, but you the master of all of it at the time of creation when it was first brought and set in all of its parts. And each of it was given dominion. The ocean was given dominion. The dry land was given dominion. The beasts of the earth was given their section of dominion, and so on and so on. But the Most High told the man, this particular man, he said, not only am I going to give you dominion, I'm going to bring you up above and bring you above all the rest of my creation. And that's something that lacks a principle of evidence for us trying to reach Yah. Because people have let these other religions come into our society since the 15, religious since the 13th, 14th, 15th century and so on. And they did it through force, through brutality, through the negligence of shedding the blood of people in order to enhance or either enforce their government today. That's why the government it's going to crumble and fall because of the way that they projected themselves into it. They did it through force, blood.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna have to return on their head in the same pattern that it would have been different if they did it through upon a generosity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I know y'all the children of God.
So a lot of people are comparing
Mm-hmm,
this new hip hop like cult like following
mm-hmm,
as like hip hop is like a new religion, and
mm-hmm,
people like Kanye West have made the statement multiple times,
mm-hmm,
where hip hop is for most part like the new wave, the new religion, as far as how popular it's getting around the world, as far as how people worship and you
mm-hmm,
know idolize these artists, the
mm-hmm.
way that the whole industry is branching out. I think that hip hop is really the new religion.
Well, we don't need a religion in all actuality. I mean, if I'm on the earth just like everybody else, I could be affected by anything that's happening. I'm not. Um, Hip hop ain't no religion, really. Period. It's just it doesn't have anything else to qualify itself for right now. It has nothing else to step into secondarily. So quite naturally, whatever is fluent right now, it's going to be something that's people going to basically follow and attach themselves to until something else comes along. Like say for instance, when rap first came out in the early '80s, okay,
Mhm.
um, it didn't have uh, no type of competition to it for the very first few years. Had none. Then next thing you know, this the generation that followed out that began to compete with each other.
Mhm.
Everybody rapping against each other on the streets, but they didn't start primarily like that when Curtis Blow came out. He was doing I guess you can call happy raps.
Yeah,
You know what
well,
I'm saying?
you look at it
Yeah,
now, and they got hip hop museums.
yeah,
You got Kanye West. He's
mm-hmm.
doing church
Yeah.
performances where
Mm-hmm.
it's not really gospel music, but it's not secular music. So
Right.
he is falling in this gray area, and he's calling these, these concerts church,
Right, right.
and he's having them at big stadium, and he's
Right, right.
charging people
Mm-hmm.
$200 a ticket to come,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like that's why they're comparing it to churches because
Mm-hmm.
like you look at these festivals where
Right.
Travis Scott just had this
I seen that
where
one. Yeah,
everybody's
yeah,
getting
I saw that.
trampled
Yeah,
and
right,
50 people injured and
right.
9 people died
Mm-hmm.
and it's getting crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're actually there, it's kind of like a trance like energy. Like and and reality is it's not us that's really partaking in it. If you go look at these festivals,
Mm-hmm.
it's not our skin color out there.
Exactly.
It's thousands of the others,
It's a it's
taking hip hop and kind of turning it into something that it
okay.
was never meant to
But
be.
what I'm gonna do what I got to do with everybody I ever talk to in this life. Now, you know, uh, our great teacher, Yahshua Hamashiach, told us. Right when he got ready to get baptized by, you know,
Hmm.
John,
Baptist.
he said to him, because John referred, he said, "No, man, you need to baptize me." He said, "No, hold up, man." He said, "I know you're overwhelmed by this, but it is." He said, let let's just fulfill what has been written, and that's the thing that has to. That's why the scripture says, "Watch as well as pray." Now, these are the things that has to be instituted there. Because people come in all the time, they ask me all these questions. What's going on? This is it because they know I got answers. So I'm gonna give them an answer too. I'm hope they take it. You know, Most High said all these things are gonna come to pass, and He named them. And in Matthew's the 24th chapter, the 25th chapter, it breaks it down. He said, as you know in that chapter, He said, "I have it that you be not deceived by no man." You know what I'm saying? He said, "Let not your heart be troubled either." Okay, because your heart will be troubled, like what you're saying now, in reference to what you're saying. Your heart could be troubled. Okay, but He said, "Don't let your heart be troubled, neither be afraid." And He said, "Don't let no man deceive you either." So we realize that as students of the scriptures, that they are magnifying and coming alive all day, every day on the clock. I could be a fool and wake up like I did today and not look for it. Just believe, but don't look for it.
Hmm.
You see the difference? Not looking for it, but believe it. So it can pass me by not looking for it and still be believing it's going to happen, it's gone. That's what I'm talking about. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm talking about, being on point. So, okay, um, these things have to happen. This is the cleansing area. This is a test. This is going to see truly the ones who are on the narrow road, the ones who truly know Yah. They're not gonna. The Most High have not called us to do none of those things. Period. Because right now, the war that he's having is not with us. Our war is over with him. The 400 years is gone. His war is with the Gentiles right now. So you can look at it in this perspective, because y'all said he had mercy who I please. I'm not mercy on everybody. He haven't on who he, and he already done told us he had mercy on Israel, the one who has accepted him as, according to our forefathers, as Yahuwah. Understand? The everlasting one. So we're not taking on no Jesus, no Christianity, no nothing, because we know the scriptures teaches us of day for day on the clock, revelations appearing every second on the clock. They constantly opening up. Each light of the word is opening up on the clock. A wise man is seeing that and is walking in it. That's what the Bible says. He's in the world, but not of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not here to conversate about what the world is doing per se. I can care less. They can destroy themselves all day, every day, be deceived all day. I don't care. I'm not going to be, because if a person like me having to end it, it'll be all over with. I would destroy the whole thing, because these episodes are only being utilized because people are foolish and ignorant in this life. And for him and others, all these other false ministers that's been around, JD, Jake, and all the rest of these dudes that's hypnotizing these people, giving these people unprecedented elections on scriptures, and giving them something, that they really can't take an account of, because they don't know who they are.
Yeah.
When I was in the Nation of Islam back in the 60s and 70s, what the nation was teaching us was self-reservation. That was the very first beginning of the principle. It wasn't so much teaching us the knowledge of Allah so much. That was common. They were teaching us how to have self-reality. That's the same thing Israel was taught when they left Egypt. They didn't. A lot of them had gotten mixed in with the Canaanites and many various other different, tribes around in the districts where they lived at. So a lot of them had lost their history because they entered into other people's histories. Okay, and began to live their life for the sake of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's what people are doing here in America. They're living the Christian life, trying to find Yah, but His name is not God. That's why they can't find Him.
Mm-hmm.
Real talk. That's why they can't find
They
Him.
know as
They don't
Jesus
know
and
His name.
God.
His name is not Lord. His name is not Jesus. His name is not God. For you to call Yah a God is to bring Him down to the image of an angel. That's what you really, because you ignorant, you don't know it. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
that they called the God. The Bible says clearly. It says in the 82nd Psalm, it says there was a day when this says there was a day when the Most High called the sons of God, and Satan came in and among them. Well, those sons of God was those angelic beings who was watching over the activities of mankind, because they had their whole job. They all had was given a list by Yah. Each one of them. You understand? From the highest authority to the lowest authority, they all were given a list of how to implicate themselves with us. Remember, when Yah made us, He said that not only would He give the dominion, but He also was lifting us up into the higher heaven. So He gave a list at that time for these angels, for these dominions, for all of these other creatures above us. He gave them a list what they're supposed to do in order to make sure that we are shaped and formed in His image to reach Him. That's why He said we made in His likeness, but they have been deluding us from reaching that understanding of that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that was what He assigned it them to. But the watchers were this morning, it's over 200 and something. But these 72 watchers, which was assigned to watch over the sons of Israel, because it was already appropriated in the scriptures. I just read it to you, where it demonstrated Israel was going to go into slavery for 400 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to be watched for that particular period of time, because at that time it was being released to the enemy of God and us.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the Bible said, He said, I'm sending you to a strange land to your enemies. These people was historically our enemies way before we came here. That's another thing they'll never teach us. These people are ancient enemies of ours. That's
Mm-hmm.
why you hear the Israelites talking about, Edom, Esau, and all of that, because they're
Yeah.
going thousands of
And
years back to
they
show you
saying
where
that
yeah. And these
he's not
people,
the white man, he's the red man,
well,
and the pigmentation
let me just say
and the
something about that.
classification of white and black,
Uh,
is good and bad.
okay,
So they kind of take the red man with the white man to give him a positive connotation connected to his name.
well, the way y'all put it, to be honest, outside of human language, when them two were born, okay, yes, it was told to Rebecca that there were two nations, two separate nations in her womb. And now you gotta listen when he said you don't ever hear anything about Yah saying he hate that person until later on in the story. Okay, at his birth, he wasn't hated on, even though he was gonna serve his younger brother. What's wrong with that? People serve their younger brother all the time. I got bigger brothers than me too. Hey, Mom, I don't want to be big. I don't want to be bigger than them. In a sense, I'm not trying. I never tried. So
Yeah.
I ain't mad at having a. I mean, I can understand he was the older, even though they twin, they born at the same time. You know what I'm saying? In that time, it still made it look like he was older. So, far as he was concerned, well, the only thing I'm really trying to say is that y'all never made a statement about hating this dude until later. Okay, so at his birth, you can't pronounce the hate, or you can't look at how he was born or anything. Period. That's discriminating against y'all's power and his craft and creation to say that a person's born this way, you need to be hated. What's wrong with you? Why are you gonna hate the hand of the Most High? Because this person is that color. Trying to say y'all should have made him, and for what purpose? If he's serving y'all's purpose, if he's serving a purpose in this life for y'all, or you to this renounce that whole subject matter because humanly you don't receive some information from a shorter creature with a shorter distance of knowledge and understanding, and you taking that into consideration to point towards that person, you're a fool.
Mm-hmm.
No, that person later on became a fool by his own reticules, by his own reviews of himself. Instead of in the story, both of them did it. To be completely honest, neither one of them had a stable ride with Yah at the time. They both were unstable. They both were broken. Both of them, both Jacob and him. Okay, they both later on came to a different reckon and acceptance because whatever Yah statute, what can we do? He said whatever door he closes, we can't open whatever door he opens. Nobody can close that one. So what am I to do? He opened up a door, let this devil in. I thought the dude said, "Yeah, why you did that?" He gonna tell me the same thing that he told those five Satans. He said, "I know what you don't know. I'm the creator. You ain't the creator. I made you. So you stand in your order and your statute, and you don't go outside of that." Number one, um, Israel has no excuse about nothing because the story alludes us to the point that he gave them all authority, all power, all understanding. There's too many places where when Moses led them across the Red Sea, he led them over to a great mountain, Sinai, where he set up a tent there. They were there for almost 33 years at this one specific site. And there, when they set up those tents in those 12 different gates, which represented that each gate represented Israel, which is in the 21st chapter of the book of Revelation to this day. When he set that up, and he was in the midst of this temple, okay, and this temple was made out of 12 different gates and it had three different levels to which you got a most holy place, a holy place, and a court roundabout. You got 1 point, you got 2 points, you got 3 points, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, sits up, you got 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, you got sits down, sits up, you got 12. Okay, then you got the three in the middle. So that's why the three different sections was representing the most holy place, the court round about. Then you have the 12 child Israel surrounded around it. So it showed a human body,
Mm-hmm.
showed a carcass, a soul, okay, in the way it's made. Right? And it's a school teaching these people exactly how the heavens and everything in it is made under one umbrella, one combined. So they all have the same mathematical degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. That's how you're able to tilt the earth. That's how you couldn't even say it. You could tilt the earth if you didn't have the mathematical. You got 1 corner, 2 corners, 3 corners, 4 corners. That means you can conquer the earth. He gave you folk. He gave you power four corners to conquer the four elements of life.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you got everything you need to point you towards the dominion he get. Because if you, then he didn't just say that to this person, what they don't explain. He showed it to him. He didn't just say it. He took him. I would say he took him. He took him and showed him how he was made in the likeness of all things.
Yeah.
That's the knowledge that our people, even in the hip hop, I don't care what community in, that's the knowledge they don't have. They don't know that they made like all of these things. They think
Mm-hmm.
they made like something else, you know.
All right, so let's switch gears a little bit, man.
Yeah.
Great information, man. I could go all day with this because this personally, this is more what I'm into.
Mhm.
So I can go all day with these type of conversations. But I know you said your grandma made the crowns for Elijah
My
Muhammad.
grandmother is the one who made those crowns that you saw
That,
the Honorable Elijah Muhammad
so,
wore.
so is that where your love for fashion came from? How did you get
It
into the?
didn't primarily come from her. She didn't teach me anything about fashion period. I just knew that she was, you know, and I'm not gonna even call these people designer. My mom is the person who influenced me. Um, my grandmother I can guess you could say um a seamstress. Okay, not a
Mhm.
dressmaker or anything like that, but my mother was a dressmaker. My mother's the person taught me how to do fashion. My mother's it's the whole responsibility where I'm at, like why I'm like I am as a person, and for my great love for fashion. My mom is the one who did that for me. My mom was a fashion designer.
Yeah. So, how did you get started in the industry? Like, what was your welcome to the fashion world,
Well,
story?
the only thing I can say is that when I was young, I was creating. I was, I always liked it, just things that was created. I liked. I'm a like you said, I'm good at graphic illustration. I just love graphic. I used to like to draw. When computers came around, just got into it, dealing with Adobe and stuff like that, messing around. When I went to the University of Dominguez University, I studied there for about 7 years, and I got into a lot of art there where I actually really did things like 14, 16 hours of studies on art, art of all various different history of all different artists of all colors and things like that. I just wanted to know what was in people's minds and how far their minds was expanded to whatever they saw or, how they grabbed it. I was very interested in that. I did a lot of write-ups on early art. I did a lot of designing on art, but they haven't at that time reached fashion. I got into the graphic world first. That was the first where I was really like really participating, putting a lot of attention to. It was just the graphic world. And then my mom, when I would go to visit her time for time at her house, all my life, my mom always had a fashion studio in the house, always, from a little kid until she died. And my mom always knew I had talent to do stuff, but I never really thought about fashion because I come from a gangster life. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of my friends are gangsters. So it's like they ain't Crips.
Yeah.
And
So you grew up out here in Southern California.
yeah, I grew up in Carson,
Okay.
yeah, Delano.
Yeah.
I mean, I first started off in '81st. I came around in 1968 when Crips first came on the scene. Okay, I was there. I was one of the first Crips there ever was, and that was in 1968. Me and a few other people, and that world was, that was a hell of a world to be in. But you didn't want to be into fashion design. I mean, yeah, it wasn't there. It wasn't nothing focusing you to go that direction. So what happened was that my mom, every time I go, like I said, when I go to visit her, she would always pull me in the room. She was like, "You need to learn how to sew." I'm like, "I learn how to sew." She's like, "But you really need to." She said, "You'll really appreciate it later on in life. You'll really, really, really be happy that you learned it." I'm like, "Really?" I said, "Go outside, smoke a joint, son." My mother tripping. Man, I can't go. My friends think me, fashion designer. Okay, but all of a sudden one day, I don't know what it was. I first started making kufis, the
Hmm.
hats. I started with the hats. I just somehow, but really, to be honest, to tell you the truth, I'm just gonna be honest. I was walking down the street, getting ready to go to the mall to buy an outfit because my mom was having a party at the house. So she said, go buy something, to wear. So I'm on my way, walking to the mall. And I just asked you, I said, yeah, I mean, can you please bless me and show me something on how to do something? My mom is pressuring me. And y'all showed me a vision of a hat. I'm like, wow, I held on to that vision, man. All that. I went to the mall. I saw it before I went to the mall. I held on to that vision. So as soon as I got through doing what I did at the mall, I came back home and I went up to my mom's little fashion room. I locked the door. She had fabrics in there because I ain't had nothing. So all I know is I found some fabric that she had that I thought it was cool, and I made a hat. I was up there all day too, but I made the hat. And my grandmother, the one who made the hat for the Nation Islam, she was there. So I came downstairs with that. My grandmother looked. She said, "Oh my God, you made that!" And she was so happy to see that I was getting into just doing something like that. And I saw the look in my mother and in my grandmother's eyes, how they really appreciated me doing that. It just made me feel happy. I'm like, wow, they like that I'm doing it.
Mm.
So
So,
yeah.
so where are you at right now with
Mhm.
your fashion career? What you got coming up? And
Uh, right now, I have an event coming up um, on March the 5th in San Bernardino at the Enterprise Building.
that's actually where my last studio was. I
Really?
started in the Enterprise building.
Yeah.
I was actually one of the first people to throw events there.
Really?
We threw pop-up events. We threw fashion shows.
So you know
We
Alicia?
threw. Yes, I was there before she was there in the
Oh, they
building.
own the building?
Yes, so I
Okay.
was there like the maturation process. When I met my partner
Yeah,
Ronnie,
right,
he
right.
met me in my studio at that. In
Well,
so
was it upstairs or
it
downstairs?
was upstairs, but
Okay.
I was throwing events. But my problem there was I was a young black man, and I was bringing. We had a music studio there
Mm-hmm.
too,
Mm-hmm.
so we would bring in like an influx of
Mm-hmm.
young black kids,
Mm-hmm.
and the owner was like, "Man, this is samurai. And you know, we got all these young black kids coming in and out the building.
Yeah.
They scared,
Right. Right.
They're, and I don't know what the insurance liability is on
Right.
that,
Right. Right.
but they're scared. And
Mm-hmm.
my biggest problem was they were always like, no hip hop, no hip hop, no
Really?
hip hop.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because we're young black kids, they're
Mm-hmm.
adamant on no hip hop. And
Mm-hmm.
what I was trying to show them is just because we got t-shirts and a fit hat on, it doesn't mean that this is the energy or the vibrations that we're on. And we tried to show multiple times that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're different, but they just,
They couldn't
we
see
couldn't
it.
see eye to eye,
Right. Right.
So we actually moved on
Mm-hmm.
and we ended up here,
Mm-hmm.
which was a blessing in itself. But
That's right. But you can still go back there now because Alicia,
oh yeah,
yeah,
I
she,
still have mm, I still have a little animosity in my heart that I
well,
really
them
need to
people are
let go.
gone. So,
You know
the
what I'm
owners,
saying?
those owners is no longer
Yeah.
there.
So it was just a whole
I
little
mean, you're not the only person I know that had that experience there.
yeah.
You know.
So you said you're doing a fashion show there?
Yes, I went there. Alicia, she's a beautiful black sister. You know, and she owns the building now. She has a different philosophy about what she wants. She's a very intelligent person. Um, I wrote a proposal about a big fashion event I wanted to go on there. I first went there and she gave me a tour of the place twice.
Hmm.
And I made up my mind, creatively what I wanted to do. I wanted to do a big fashion event in two areas there. They have I don't know if you know the upstairs with the balcony at.
Hmm.
Uh,
The outside patio
yeah, there's
rooftop,
outside patio
the
rooftop.
rooftop.
And
Yeah.
they really put that together now. It's
Yeah.
nice.
One of my mentors is D Conway. He's still in that building.
Okay, yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they got this. I forgot this white boy name. His name just come to me. But they got this white boy up there. He's running it now.
Yeah.
He cool. He just like he like a brother.
Yeah.
He
That's what
got
I'm talking about.
yeah. Oh, then
That's exactly what I'm
yeah,
talking about.
yeah, yeah. He's still there. There.
Hmm.
There's two of them. So I don't know which one you're talking about specifically, but I know both of them are there. Yeah, they were running that particular area, and sometimes in the inside in the little other area too. Past that little glass thing, little thing. Excuse me. But yeah, I went there with a proposal to Alicia, and what my whole idea was that San Bernardino really lacks a great deal amount of the promotion of fashion designers. Like you said in the IE, they're not really recognized, or either the people who are actually putting on fashion events. are not catering the designer any further than just an event,
Mm-hmm.
and that to me is evil. How can you have such a narrow mind to bring me, designers trying to get to the top, and you ain't introducing me to nothing that would get me to the top, from this point. It's like, that's just dead work. Then I got to spend all my money. I got to spend my money to be in the show. I got to spend my money to put together a collection. I got to spend my money to pay some models. What are you doing? Draining me? I mean, that's a backwards reality.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't participate in those events at all. People got to pay me 10, 15 to $20,000 up front before I do anything for you. I had to learn that. It took a while. But with Alicia, she won't, because she's black owned and she's trying to establish the enterprise building. She's trying to, give it a direction that people can come there and do events and have fun. And I said, well, look, um, what I do, um, I bring 6 other designers from different fashion, institutions or whatever. So, and we'll put a notice out that they have to have a full collection, between 12 to 30 pieces. And what we will do, we'll get an opportunity to do a day show where we'll have these 6 designers. They all have 45-minute, window where they can show their collections, and fine, you bring the press there and bring different people from very different, areas in the fashion world,
Mm-hmm.
fashion TV if we can get them there, just the people who can actually give you the attention you need, and let them get some exposure. And then that night from 8 to 10, it'll be the IJAHBOR for now. Well, I put on a big show, you know, and that's really what I'm doing there on the 5th of March.
That sounds dope as hell, man. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that definitely the IE needs. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of the fashion shows that have happened,
Mm-hmm.
they're more of geared towards artist showcase.
I know.
So that these artists are performing, and
Mm-hmm.
then you got the fashion designers having their models walk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But their main stay is the artist performing, not
Understand that?
necessarily showcasing
Mm-hmm. I
the.
know. And that's the sad part, because what that details and says that a lot of times people who are trying to put together productions are not professionals. They just these are assumptionalized visions of somebody. They're not actual. They're assumptionized, and they're put together through an assumption. And because years ago, I used to let certain people, go find models for me or something like that, and and I would send them pictures of certain girls or guys, so I want them, that fits this image. They give me something totally opposite. You know, Doing a show, you be looking like, that's how I know you're not professional.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. I could call you one in front of everybody right now, pack up and just leave, because I don't do dumb, unprofessional things that don't allow you to grow. Okay, a model is a very important person in your clothes, because if you sitting there and you designing something of great elegance, and you want to have it a certain appeal, because you know what market you want it to be seen in,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, you got somebody that don't fit that criteria at all. Period. That just throws you into a whole nother loop. Just dismisses everything. So when you're dealing with people and they don't really know what you visualizing, they excuse it for whatever, never have an answer, but always, just I can't even explain to you what I'd be willing to do to people for that, man.
I think that it's a scramble on the West Coast because
Yeah,
on the East Coast, in New York, you got these circuits,
right.
and these circuits have existed for years.
Mm-hmm.
And as an up and coming, creator, all
Mm-hmm.
you have to do is find your way to these circuits,
Right.
and they kind of got a yellow brick road for you to
Mm-hmm.
get to your destination.
Right.
With California, you know, gang banging is the culture,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you're not part necessarily trying to make it the gang bang route,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the artists that have broken out of California, you know, you look at Kendrick Lamar, his first album was talking about how he necessarily ain't a gangbanger,
Mm-hmm.
but because of the culture of the city, I'm affiliated with it, therefore I'm not exempt from the funk.
Well, that could be true. I could say the same for myself. I'm a very popular fashion designer. Okay, I've been putting on shows for multitudes of years, so mainly for white audience and so on. I'm very known among them and people in the film industry and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I have an army of crib homies. right now. You know, yeah, I have an army of crip homies. You know, and they loyal. They with me till the day we die. You know, so I mean, they was just with me. Matter of fact, a few days ago, I was with them.
So
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 I
what
don't
is
know.
your thoughts on gang banging as it
Gang banging.
is presently?
I told you I was one of the first Crips there ever was.
Yeah.
We didn't call ourselves gang bangers.
You see
We didn't
when
have anything to emulate ourselves to be a banger. None of us ever considered ourselves to be bangers at the time when we did it.
uh
You know what I'm saying? That's like a third generation name title. Okay, that's really when the system got involved. It became gang related. How you gonna say people who go to school together every day, who live next door around the corner from each other? How you gonna call them a gang instead of calling them family? From which what we are, we family. Some of us are married into each other. You know that we doing some
mm-hmm.
kind of period. We don't marry this sister, have baby by this one or something. We all family. So it ain't no such thing. That's a white devilish reality about the thing called us gang. We are a community of friends who just happen to just agree with everything we do.
Now
So,
for us in America, the black youth, we grow up talking. Each section has their own slang or their own words that they use to describe things. But as soon as you step out as an adult into the corporate world per se, now you have to adjust to their corporate jargon. You have to speak the words in the languages that they speak. So a lot of the times we grow up, not adhering to their definition of things. But as an adult, once we step out into this corporate world, we kind of have to shed all of our individuality and give in to the system that, you know, tells us that we're black.
but let me say something to you real quick. I'm gonna tell you the people who's really learning, who's really trying to learn something. You know, and it's gonna always be the Caucasians. Let me tell you why. I don't know why most blacks don't even know this. Let me share this to you real quick. You and I have become associated friends. Okay, we ain't related to each other, but we're friends. I met you. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care about your color, but I just like your personality and your character. All right, you like mine. We just homies. We ain't looking at you white, I'm black, or whatever. All right, I just you the homie. I like you, man. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Now let us say I have a great heritage, rich family got a lot. Your family don't, but you're my friend. I give you whatever I got. All right. But let us say we're looking at the part of the word heritage. Okay, that one word, the word promise and heritage. These are the two most significant words you're going to have to draw down into your mind to this second. Heritage and promise. There's one of us that have it, the other one don't have it. I have it because my family has passed it down to me through a will. They're gonna give it to me. When one of them is dead, wherever either I get to a certain age, it comes into channel for me, all right? Then my elevates, my name changes and I become another person outside the person I was previously. Okay, that's waiting for me. But for you, it ain't. You got to go through all kind of obstacles, and you may not never ever in your whole life, even your kids, ever see that. All right? But
Mm-hmm.
this person here got it. All right? But y'all like each other. Now, at some time and point, you're gonna be envious of this person, all right? Because you're gonna be having hard times. They're gonna catch up with you and follow you around. This person seeing they escape it all the time because he got that border. You know what I'm saying? Yes. If you have a hard time, they come and rescue him and put him back in his place and keep him where you go. Either counsel him something to keep him where he knows to be. All right, to keep growing. All right. So that's the story about the white people and the black people. It's the plainest story in the world why white people are like they are, and why you shouldn't even care about what they do. They are not promised by Yah for nothing. They don't have ain't no salvation been given to them.
Mm-hmm.
They know that even in the Bible. The Bible don't talk like you said. The Bible don't talks about them. It talks about us. So when you are left out, you're a creature. You walking around, seeing the sun and the moon, everything like all of us. You got to eat. You got to survive. You here, but there's nothing from Yah that's indicating to you but destruction. Or either you being overcome, like it says to Esau, you're gonna serve your younger brother at some time and point for the rest of your life everlastingly. He ain't gonna be no end to this. He had to swallow that like that's what made him mad. I gotta be this dude, sir. This dude I'm gonna be following this dude all my life. But that's what they know about you and me. You think they don't? They've been knowing about this. They've been for the last 400 years or more. They've been having this information stored in them and prepared for a very long time to explode. Really, just have a tornado fit about. The Bible says that when they knew that their time was short, their anger was towards the promised people. That's who they were mad. Why are they mad at you and me? Because they don't have a promise. The promise they have is to be overcome. They're only given a short time to rule. They know that. I don't care who that master is. That master can't overrule y'all. Y'all passed that list down to all his being and told them all this is going to happen. Ain't nothing nobody can do about it. So they know that they can't stop y'all from manifesting himself through this time what we're living in and bringing forth his kingdom. And it comes through us. Now, the weird thing about this thing is that if you're a child unaccepted, you're an orphan, okay, attached around. You don't have there's nothing that actually indicates you're going to have a platform representing your culture. Because you go in the book of Revelation, the 23rd chapter, what does it say? It shows 12 gates, and the name of them are the sons of Israel. And if you are not in association with one of those sons, you will not be able to go through one of those gates. Gate of Benjamin, the gate of Gad, you just name them. Okay, Judah, you know, those gates all got the name of these black men on them. So if you ain't part of the generation of one of these black men, you ain't getting through that gate. Okay, they know that. They know that this kingdom they're going to, it's a kingdom that represents these same people who you're down here looking at every second out of the day and looking at them as niggas. Okay, but you know, you're trying to get to the same spot they're going to. But the funny thing about it, your name ain't on the gate, ours is. You know, so the thing that you have to realize about white people, they're gonna stay despised about that. They never gonna leave
So
that
is this
spot.
why they are so
I'd be
adamant
mad too if God made me and told me I can't never enter into his kingdom. He just made me just to serve and then send me to hell.
So they're always trying to erase our history,
Hey
man.
man, wouldn't you for another day to rule? They
Yeah.
know that it's been broken. It's been broken apart in all four places from which it has been established. It's cracks everywhere. They can't stop the cracking. They don't have no solution to stop this cracking. It's falling apart. It's supposed to. The Bible said it will go. Listen. This is the thing that has to be instituted. When y'all say the word everlasting or eternal, that means it is no end. But if he gives a date of an end, that's the end. We don't have a date of an end. We don't have an end date. They do. So I'll be mad at you too. Walking around on I keep your niggas as long as I can. And just think about the obvious of that.
Yeah.
You know that y'all came down and told your people, he said, look, I'm gonna let you rule for 400 years. He said, after that, you're getting crushed and you're gonna be put under these same people that you once ruled over. They're going to rule you, and they're going to rule you with an everlasting rod, not for 400 years, everlastingly. You're going to be ruled by them forever. So they know that they're getting the biggest kick they can out this 400 years. I would get every second out I can get out of it too if I was dealing one promise, nothing else. So you can't be mad. People cannot speak against y'all because that's all you doing when you comment against white people and other racist people. You comment against y'all. You ain't commenting against them. Y'all set those people and gave them the dominion that they have to this very second. Not they didn't give that to themselves. Y'all made them reprobated. He made them carnal. He made you spiritual. So y'all are two different kind. That's why he said you got two different kind of people in your womb. One people are carnal. One people are spiritual. God is a spirit. Y'all said my Father's spirit. Okay, in order for you to deal with him, you have to deal with him in spirit. These people do not deal with the Most High; they deal with him according to the carnality, and that means that they deal with things that are time based. We're not a people that is set up on time. That's why we're given the title everlasting or even eternal. We go past time. We were born before time, and we shall enter back into the place where we were first born, which is in everlasting. We came from everlasting and came down to the earth to be seen. We are from above. The white man is the one who's formed from the earth, not us. We came here holy and divine. And the Most High put a shadow over our eyes so that we wouldn't remember it and brought us to the earth. But he would, but that's why the commandments is here to slowly but surely reenact you. See, Yah is funny for things he does. Yah loves attention. He loves to put things into a position where it seems impossible to a certain extent, but it's possible. It's all possible because long as he the one with the knowledge and the key to open it up, long as he's present, you're going to receive it at some time and point. So long as he know he's gonna keep you alive to give it to you, there's gonna come that time and point where you're going to receive it, and it's gonna change the miraculous point of view of all things.
So how does this knowledge and this presence of mind, this mindset, how does this help you in your own business endeavors?
Because number one, everything I do without having it where anybody can come in and be able to rule it outside of myself. I'm the established ruler. You need my mind to have it admitted. Cannot take it and do it, have it judged or conceived. It has my spirit and my DNA in it. So whenever I put it this way, when I would do fashion events, let's say for instance for white, like people in Beverly Hills, it's this organization in Beverly Hills called the Starving Artist Project. It's ran by Michael Belzion. He's a well-known film photographer in Hollywood. And he would call me to come to these celebrity fashion events where you have these up and coming movie stars, people who was getting into the movie industry and things like that, and they're trying to move up the ladder. And a lot of times when you call on them because they don't have clothing to put on them for these photo shoots, they're called designers like me, and I come in and dress them, and sometimes I get a chance to show my collections plus dress the artists, and that's when I start really realizing that the way I was going about conducting myself as an artist had that that light, that very light that white people were either greatly appreciated of, or they were fearful of it. You see, because they saw too much power. And then my clothes dignified uh, things that are imagery to my thought ability. So that was one way I realized that if you don't come into an industry where they already weakened it by their own carnal reprobation, you come in there with an established mind that, and believe me, white people really want to follow a powerful black person more than they would a white man who was under the ladder of manipulation. They really do want to follow a powerful black man, because a lot of them, without us really knowing that a lot of their grandparents, some of their folk parents taught them about their end, their demise. They know that their time is being conclusive and that another people is going to rule. And some of them is trying to find a way into your life to show that they love black people, they love everything that black people are doing, and so on and so on. I seen that a lot during fashion events, mainly for white people. How gallop they are. Excuse me. A lot of times when they see me do collections, the collections are so different than what they normally see. Where did I go about putting together the clothes? That it really makes them wonder, how a person has this, unique talent to do this. Because I do haute couture.
So I know you mentioned that you went to what, San Jacinto?
Say that again.
You went to college for this, San
Yeah,
Jacinto?
well, I said Dominguez
Oh,
University, but
Dominguez.
they didn't have no fashion classes there. I went to LA Trade Techs.
Okay.
Mm, Uh,
So how important is it for you to just go get that knowledge? Because a lot of, especially with the YouTube age now, people feel like they don't need traditional studying. They can go teach themselves just about
they can.
anything.
That's very true. There's
So
nothing
do
wrong
you
with that.
feel like the education part of it is necessary?
Um,
Uh,
Again, YouTube has become a big one within the last 5, 7 years or so. Way bigger than it was when it first started. Much more wider, more broader, more media attention now from all over the world is now being focused on it. Where you can be able to go there and attach yourself to it. Um, you can go online and teach yourself. Really, if you're aggressive, and it's really no more different than being in a class watching a teacher say it. It's the difference. Okay, you following instructions better on YouTube because sometimes you get a chance to see them actually make what it is that you're watching. You see them put it together from start to finish. You see them doing the measurements. You see how they cut it out. You see everything. You see the whole. You see the tools they're using. A lot of times in fashion institutions, they make you go buy all this stuff. I'm trying to say all that you can't even be in the class, or you got to get a loan, something like that. Some people come to college and they ain't got no money. They came there just so they can learn something so they can start making some money one day. But mine came from common sense because my mom was already ahead of the game. So she had everything at the house. So I didn't have to so much really do like some students who didn't have a mom like mine, who had to go to a school and learn about fashion just from a teacher, point of view. My mom had fashion studios in our house all my life, so I knew what a certain thing looked like or what I needed. My mom had put me up on it, so I was kind of ahead again. Then again, I kind of got my mother's spirit too, because my mom didn't go to fashion school. She was just a person who just picked up, the technique and the skills of it, and she just professionally knew what she was doing.
So I see a lot of especially with podcasts and
Mhm.
everybody's doing merch,
Right.
not necessarily like a clothing line. They're just
Mhm.
kind of slapping their logo on
Mhm.
t-shirts and hoodies and stuff.
Mhm.
So how do you feel about a lot of these boutiques or collections that are just hoodies with logos on them?
Well, it's nothing new. I mean, Gearing Two has been around for 100 years. Look. You can go into a room in a fashion institution, school. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, if it's a prestigious fashion school, it's no doubt even saying a word. You people trying to get to the top. Okay. People like me are trying to go to the top, like the Grammys. That's why I've been invited to Fashion Week in Cancun. Okay. To the top and then internationally around the world. Ain't every person called himself a designer trying to do that. That is not what a lot of them want. Not even thinking about. Anytime somebody want a boutique, that means that they are average. They're just an average seamstress, somebody who know how to make stuff, but they don't want to have clothes in stores all over the world. They don't want to be no Dior. They don't want to be no Prada. I'm trying to say. They don't want to be no Louis Vuitton. They don't want all these big names that represent the industry as a whole. Okay, they don't want to be that.
Now, when you start saying these names,
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I didn't realize
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of these are these people's actual real names: Calvin
Yes, it
Klein,
is. Yes, it
Tommy
is.
Hilfiger, Michael Kors.
Right.
You're walking around with somebody's name on
Mm-hmm.
a garment,
Mm-hmm.
and it's considered high fashion.
Okay.
So is that what you're trying to do with your own
Well, I'm
branding?
doing the same
Because
thing.
I see your
The
name on the
direction,
beanie right
the
here.
direction. Man, I got my stuff out in the car, man. They'll blow all of y'all mind if I brought it in here. You ain't seen nothing yet. Look, man, I'm an haute couture fan. Okay, haute couture is not from America.
Hmm.
Haute couture comes from Paris. Okay, Dior is an haute couture designer. Louis Vuitton is not. Uh, 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 what's the name? Gabachi and
Dolce and
Gabachi,
Gabbana.
yeah. They couture. Okay, George Habakkuk is couture. Scarelli is couture. Okay, these people specialize in doing nothing but couture. They do not do ready to wear clothes. They hate it. It's almost like calling them a nigga or something, right? Really,
Yeah.
they don't believe in that. They believe in couture. Chanel, again, one of the biggest in Armani, Giorgio Armani. These are all couture houses. They don't believe in nothing but specialty clothing. Okay, stuff when they make it, it's yeah, a piece of material start off just a piece of material that's probably priced down to probably $5-10 of a roll of material. But by the time they get through implanting and putting in embroidery, putting these jewelry, whatever they do, that material that was $5 now become a dress or a gown worth 150, 200,000 to $1 million.
So heard you mention Fashion Week in Cancun.
Yes, that's what
Have
I'm
you
doing.
done like New York, LA Fashion Week?
No, I've been
What
invited.
what is the Fashion Week circuit? Because I know about
Uh,
LA
uh,
and New York. I've never heard of Fashion Week Cancun or these
well,
other ones.
Fashion Week is really a tourist guide for most major countries now. Abu Dhabi Dubai and all them is getting involved into it. India at one time wasn't participating, but now India's participating in it. Afghanistan is now participating in it. They don't start their own fashion week now for the
Mm-hmm.
Indian designers. So fashion week really, before it was called fashion week, before it came to America, before it came to New York, when it was in Paris, it was called Media Week.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have anything to do with fashion. It was for the media. That's why the media still comes to it. But now celebrities, kind of other people comes to it now. But they
Mm-hmm.
didn't at one time. The people that was invited to it was the media. That's all you needed. You just want to expose your stuff to the media, let them write up on your stuff, and for us the buyers go, they will have associates that will come from each of the buyers that will come there and be present, and after the show, you'll bring them into two separate rooms, one room for media, one room for the buyer, so that way you can sit down and discuss with both of them what the activity is with the clothes and stuff of that nature. Fashion Week is about popularity. It's about pushing your line to get it to a certain destination. It's a certain market that you want to reach. You may want to have your stuff in London. You may want to have your stuff in Milan. You may want to have your stuff in England. Wherever it is you want your stuff at, you're going to Fashion Week to meet people that's in those parts of the world, that comes from those parts of the world. You're there to meet them.
Mm-hmm. So as a stylist, how do you facilitate like relationships with stylists?
I don't. I'm the stylist.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, you can't help but being a stylist as a designer. I mean, you start off a stylist. You just calling yourself a designer. That's really all you really are is a stylist. That's just really you making the clothes from scratch to what they become. Okay, and then you create this image of how you want it wear. So that's what a stylist is going to do. A stylist. The only thing about stylists, sometimes you can make combined pieces that is just that set that it's every. Some stylists can take different pieces, a piece from here, a piece from there, piece from here, piece from there, and they match them together. You know what I'm saying? That's what most stylists do. They just want something that's going to look satisfactory on you. A designer has a totally different approach. A designer is trying to do something else.
mm-hmm.
A designer is sometimes trying to create a masterpiece. Let me show you something. He's trying to create a masterpiece sometimes that kind of, in a sense, explains itself, or if it don't explain itself, you know, hugely enough. I wish I had a big. I want a bigger picture of this one here. Show you. Let me get a nice out of this one. But sometimes I know that we're almost done, but I wanted to show you some of the clothes I got so you can kind of get an idea. Now you see this here?
Yeah.
Okay, that's ostrich leather, and this fur that I got on, this beaver fur that I got. It's, as you can see, it's a coat that goes with it too. But you can see these sapphire stones that I put going along here and going along there, right? And that's basically like this is uh chinchilla. So chinchilla a vest with white leather and chinchilla going around the waist area and around the tail of it. Okay. Again, too, this is another couture piece. Okay, they're very simple to put together. Something a lot of people don't know about couture, but it's German leather. Okay, the top in the skirt, and then again too, you see the pieces of fur, and I made a bag to go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but these kind of these kind of particular outfits, okay, they are made with couture. And the reason why they come because of the jewelry enhancement. You know, now I could have did a lot more, but which I do have on a lot of other clothes I design. But when you go that far, then they become uh, couture because couture deals with specialty, specialty designs, things that special kind of embroideries and things of that nature. When you start going that route.
Mm-hmm. So as we wrap this up, what advice would you give to a fashion designer that wanted to enter the game today? Where
First,
w- where should they start, and what type of information should they seek before just jumping out there?
if you come from the streets, a lot of this information you're gonna get is gonna come from uh, going on YouTube or some type of station and learning. If you go to a type grade fashion institution or school, then you'll get a better chance. Mainly if you're trying to climb the ladder, because one of the things that the large fashion institutions do they do promote their students. They teach them about marketing. They teach them about distribution. They teach them about media, how to attract yourself in the media. They teach you how to put on fashion events. They teach you about locations. They teach you um, basically about the film industry, just about most of all your collective industry. You learn uh, of variations of these activities in these classes, going to these fashion institutions. Not only that, they take you on tours to a lot of the places that, like the film industries, like Universal Studios and stuff like that. They'll take you on tour and introduce you to people that's in those industries that's really sitting there waiting, producers and people like that in the wardrobe department who's looking for designers who have a special way of making certain types of costumes or things of that nature. Because the person who may be doing this, he may be old, I'm about to die. They need some fresh meat. So if you come along and you're good at what you're doing, they can hire you, or they may make it sound African, but you get a better opportunity because they introduce you directly to the industry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to say, and they connect you with sponsors and investors and people like that. Because if you're coming from the ground, you're just coming from your home, and somebody in your house know how to do fashion. You just influence like that, and you're not going to a school. You're gonna have a hard time because you need people around you that's gonna first of all believe in you. You got to keep proving yourself year after year after year after year to them that you're pushing the ladder to this thing. Because once even if for 1 month you lack off, people are gonna lack off with you. They're gonna like, oh, he ain't serious, and you ain't gonna have
Mm-hmm.
that support. People will support you like they support me. I got an extraordinary support system that's definitely there to make sure I go wherever I got to go. And you need that, because if you don't have people that believe in you, if you're not giving people something to make them believe, that's the important part. If you're not constantly coming up with something to make people believe, then again too, you're not going to be able to you're going to have a harder time. You know what I'm saying? But you got to kind of do things continuously. You always got to have something to say, well, if I'm going to make this, it's got to impress at least 15, 20 people, something. I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to say, it has to impress somebody. So you have to be working towards that valuable imagery. Making people, when they see it, go, oh man, I like that. Damn, I wish I had, something. And then you kind of fitting in where you need to go, because you go everything you do, you got to make sure people like it. People have to like it, because that's people encourage you themselves. If they see something like, man, you really making that, you're a hell of a designer. People will tell you what they see in you. So you have to do that in order to have that impression falling up on you. Going with you when you go in that sewing room, when you got that material or whatever, when you visualize and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make sure when they see this, they gonna like this shit. You know what I'm saying? You
Mm-hmm.
you got to do that. And if you're constantly doing that and you constantly bringing that into life, everybody gonna be like, man, So I always was tell people, make sure you stay in a place of impression. Always stay there. Never leave there if you're serious. That is.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, man. That's some good information. You
Yeah.
you spit a whole bunch of knowledge, man. Here, I hope y'all listening and paying attention, man. Tell the people where they can find you and where they can support your next upcoming events.
Okay. Again, my name is IJAHBOR. Um, I am. Well, let me say this here. If you want to go on my Facebook, you will have to go and spell my name. It's Alicia Jabor. It's capital I, capital L, small a, CHEITS, and then Jabor, capital J, AHBOR. And you can go on my Facebook and be a friend with me, and I'll sign you in if I like what I see. And you can scroll down my Facebook and see all type of delicious, wonderful things I've done throughout the years. You want to go on my Instagram? It's all small capitals. It's ILACHEITS, Alicious, and you can go on my Instagram. And again, too, like I said, I have an event coming up on March the 5th at the Enterprise Building in downtown San Bernardino. Um, I think anybody that's really enthusiastic about fashion, they need to come. They can come there and talk with me. I'm gonna have a couple of hours of photo shoots and things like that gonna be going on. That's gonna be scheduled. Where you can come in and sit down and maybe have an hour or two chat with me. And I will sit down and tell you things that I think that you need to do in order to elevate yourself as an artist, you know. And again, too, the next event after that will be in May, and that's the one I'm doing in Cancun, Mexico. Let me give big ups to the Rika Silvers. She's a young lady who was putting together this fashion week in Cancun, Mexico. She's a wonderful young lady. She lives in Arizona. She has a modeling agency there. She was at my house in August, and she brought a bunch of models there from her agency, and we did a nice little fashion photo shoot in my house. And she has a daughter named CeeLo Arby. She's becoming an international model. She's becoming famous, more and more famous every day. And in a minute, she's going to be one of those big names that you're going to be hearing. So I'm going to say that name one more time. Her name is CeeLo Arby. Look for her. Any young ladies who is trying to make it out there as a real model, look her up on Facebook, Instagram. This young lady started modeling for me many years ago, but she is the only model I know that is, man, when I say serious, and she's an international figure now. She
Mm-hmm.
don't, she don't model for famous photographers and people like that. And she's going to be one of the main headline models for my clothes in the Cancun show that I'm going to be doing in Mexico. It's going to be between May the 15th to the 17th in 2022.
That's what's up, man. Check them out, man. Tap in the 5th. I've definitely I'm gonna have to clear the schedule, put that on calendar. I'll be there.
Yeah,
To support. Definitely, we do the red carpet. We'll have the media team out there. We'll do the write up.
that's right.
So we'll definitely support you, man. But this has been another great episode, man. Of PolitiKan the podcast. We had Riverside Studios in Riverside, California. Check out our blog, The PolitiKan Forum, at thepolitikanforum.com. Check out all our podcasts on the PolitiKan Radio on all podcast platforms. And check out our YouTube, man. Like and subscribe, man. Run them subscriptions up, man. PolitiKan the podcast. I don't know what you're going to do with your life, but I'm going to get to it, man. We out of here.